Maokeo, Yante de Wisse, Migizigabo, Kanche, Mahikuna, Nanapawaki. My name is Shawn Stevens, also Standing Eagle, as Peter so eloquently introduced me earlier. Thank you very much for that. I am from the Stockbridge Muncie Band of Mohicans. We reside in Wisconsin on a reservation today. Our people, our ancestors lived from the bottom of Lake Champlain all the way down the Hudson River on both sides, all the way down to Manhattan Island. As far west as Schoharie Creek along the borders of the Mohawk people, down to the Catskill Mountains, back down to the opening of the river, and into western Vermont, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. And we lived here for thousands, tens of thousands of years in a very community-driven way of life that kept our people going longer than any modern country today, really. And it was in 1609 when our people met Henry Hudson on what is called now the Hudson River. It used to be called the Mohican River. And long story short, there went the neighborhood kind of thing. It would take me too long. It would take me hours to tell you the history of our people. But through disease and warfare and land loss and such, our people were diminished to a little small place down in Massachusetts called Stockbridge, Massachusetts, there, to a time where we were moved towards Wisconsin, in the early 1800s. Oh, for my people, and I always tell people that my ancestors lived here. And a lot of people say, well, don't you people want to move back, come back, land back, and move back here again? And although it's a good thought, but and I say that home is Wisconsin. That's where I was born, that's where I was raised, that's where our people are, and we're home, and you think we're 1,000 miles away from the ancestral lands, but the good thing is that we're not very far from what we call Mother Earth. That's our true home. And our vision, our ways of believing that we are one with all things, not just our people. All human beings are one. All human beings are related. Even science will tell you now that all human beings share common genetics. And not only all human beings, but all human beings and animals. Human beings, animals, and plants, even down to mushroom fungus and such. All of these things sprung from the same tree of life, and that comes from Mother Earth. And for our people, we've always had that connection and respect for all living things. And for all of you, I call you, you're all my relatives, and in this way of understanding that we all are one. Now, if you think about it, if we could draw a huge map, we could all point to where our ancestors come from. We'd be pointing in a lot of different directions. However, we all hopped on a spaceship, went up to the moon, and said, okay, now where are your ancestors from? We'd all point to the same place, that we all come from. And that the earth in our view is our mother, and we are one with all living beings. And it's sad that in a time that we live today, over thousands of years of civilizations, that we, as the most intelligent animal ever to come, haven't figured that out. That if we can look across differences, across this world, and say, instead of this is not an us and them, how many wars have been fought, we're still going because of us and them type of thing. And how can we get back to that point where we can get people to remember we all are one? Even when you look at it, I hope you have this pamphlet, for today, and this little medicine wheel symbol here. The medicine wheel symbolizes a lot of things, but one of the things it symbolizes will symbolize all the main colors of humanity in this circle, Mother Earth. And when you take one out, the circle's not complete. And we're taught that Creator made man from, made And if I say man, I'm sorry, I mean human beings, from the dust. Or in our culture, we say the clay, that we were made from earth. And if you think about it, well, how are we made? How are we existing? We must eat plants, animals, these things that grow from the earth. For us to live and to grow as children and grow up until a human being, full adult human beings. And we all need to understand that what we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. For our people, we looked at, when we lived along we'll call Mahikanatuk, that's the Hudson River. We looked at it as a living being. That's something that provided so much things for it. It provided us the fish, it provided us water, it provided for the plants and the animals all around. It was a life-giving being, and we gave it that respect. But after being removed, and the powers that be, the higher, extremely wealthy powers, wanted to save some money and dump things into the river for waste. And they poisoned the river. And they were beginning to believe that we were gone. They poisoning their own people. Not really realizing, that's the life-giving. What we're doing to that river, we're having an effect on the people who live along it. And what we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. And the next 7 generations and beyond will inherit the choices that we make. Okay, so I always try to tell people when you're on earth, if you can actually reach down and touch your hold on to it, put it on in your hands. And I was just with a young group of campers, and I said, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I went and touch it. They're like, "Well, grass or the dirt or whatever." I was like, "You're holding the whole world in your hands right now." I said, "You ever think about it that way? In your place, where is your place in this world?" And with the 4 directions, the 4 main races, we believe that the Creator gave power to each way. One had power over water, one had power over air, the other had power over earth, the other had power over fire. And that we are to use these together and work together to come to the center for the betterment of humankind, to keep us alive, keep us healthy. And if we abuse those things, sicknesses come. And you can see a lot of those things that are happening with the pollution, not only with the rivers, but with the oil spills, the nuclear plants going haywire, dumping waste into the oceans. A lot of pollution going to the oceans, getting off lots of wildlife. And it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. If we got that connection, that we realize that we're all one, not only with all humans, with all plants and animals and such, we're also one with the earth. What we're doing to the earth, we do to ourselves. Okay? And so many people get caught up on who owns their home. This is our land. That's not yours. It's not. There's a story that one of our prophets, he said he had a vision where he was taken up to the Creator's lodge. And inside the Creator sitting by the fire. And he's looking into the fire. And also forgive me again if I say he, because in our culture, we have no words like he or she. It's always like that person. We don't differentiate that way. So in the English way of saying it, I have to say he or she and stuff. So it's not that Creator is a man. Okay. So what is that person, that entity? Well, the Creator sitting by the fire, and he has the man come in and has him sit down. He says, "Look into the fire." And then looking into the fire, you can see all these people all over the earth. They're all fighting. They're all arguing. Who owns the land? Who has the right for the land? Who does the land belong to? And the Creator told the man, he says, "No, you go down, back down there, and you tell them all what I said." He said, "The land truly belongs to me." And everybody was a guess. Nobody owns the land. Only the Creator does. And all the humans, all the plants, all the animals, all those things are the children of the Creator that were created from Mother Earth. And it's looking at that we are one, And I tell the young ones and stuff, it's like when you go into a park or you're going somewhere and you see trash laying around, you should pick it up. You know, and you might not have done it. That might not be your house or whatever, but this is where you belong. You belong on Mother Earth. It doesn't matter where your ancestors come from. You belong where you are. You know, it's like saying for our people, we live in Wisconsin right now. That's where we live. That's home. You know, we are connected deeply to the land out here. You know, but we understand that we're still on the land. The land has really no boundaries. We have imaginary boundaries that we like to draw up and stuff. And we like to joke around, like, would you take your own mother? Would your siblings like draw up spots and say that part's mine? Of course not. So no matter where you go in this world, you are on Mother Earth. You might be separated from where your ancestors are, but you are still on Mother Earth. And she has all these gifts to give us, to help us, to get through this life, to provide for us. The rivers, the lands, the air, all of it. You know, we have to respect it as a life-giving being that we need to live on, that we need to take these gifts that she gives us and for nutrients, not only for us, but the next 7 generations and beyond. And so when we go out and we see these things, we all have to do kind of our part. We can't fix it all from the top right away. You know, those of us who, you know, we might not have a whole lot of clout or power, whatever, and, you know, but we can fix where we are first. You know, when we start fixing ourselves towards the bottom of the pyramid, then the ones up on top have no choice to change eventually. And we're always fixated on trying to change the top first. We got to change within ourselves first, and how we see things, how we view things. So when you look around everybody, we're all family, all of us, you know, and science will prove it, you know, and we could look back at our genealogy and go all the way back to an original person, you know, and so we're all one, and there shouldn't be any worse from us and them. We have to be able to look at people in all the diversity in the whole world and say, we all belong together. We are all from this earth. And we need clean air. We need clean water. We need clean earth. We need all of those things for us to live in a healthy way because we are in a symbiote relation. We are one with the earth. We are one with all. And so every day we have a choice. Every day we have a choice to wake up and just do those small things and share those little tidbits of knowledge and stuff with other people. In doing so, we're changing the narrative of how it's been going. So many things are happening. A lot of prophecies are saying that, you know, from back in the day, if we don't start respecting Mother Earth again and remembering our connection, the Earth will become sick. Okay. Good thing is the Earth will be okay, but we won't. You know, and so when we're looking ahead of our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, their great-grandchildren and beyond, you know, we have choices every day. We wake up. What can we do to make it better for them? So we are one. And I hope that within today that I can come and give these little words of wisdom from our indigenous people of living in unity with the earth, respecting it in all of its gifts, but respecting one another. And there really truly is no us in that. There's only all of us together on this little bitty planet we out in the middle of nowhere, you know. And we need to take care of one another, you know, because we all want the same thing. We all want a good, healthy place to raise our children and live in peace and live in health and happiness. So this is my message that I bring for today. And I'm going to, before we go into a moment of silence, I'm playing a little piece on my flute here. Now I love playing flute music because, for one, there's no words. And somebody really wise once said that where words fail, music speaks. You know, it names the unnameable. Even if you're not saying it, it names the unnameable, describes the indescribable. It's a way of vibrating that spirit to come out into musical form. And while I'm doing this, I don't know if you want to like close your eyes, just kind of imagine and kind of think of your connection to all things. You know, and even like I said with the earth, even with the elements, we are all earth, we are all water, we are all fire, we are air. And all of those things that create life and give life, we must respect. Hold on a second. Just keep your eyes closed forward into the numbness and let the notes kind of resonate.